interested in kids at school
No.
for your research.
No, you don't want to know about that.
But you can get definition and then reference that article. Or it may say some stuff in there about depression, and while you're not writing about CBT being used with kids with depression who have suffered bullying, you still are writing about CBT and depression, and there might be statements in there that you can still use. But you probably wouldn't read the whole article. Usually it's in the abstract or the introduction or the discussion at the
it's
end.
probably in the first few lines or something.
Or at the end of it.
Yeah, or at the end. In the middle, with these academic articles, usually in the middle it's more research methods and things. It's at the beginning and it's at the end that they do the discussion. I'll show you real quick just so you can have a look. Whoops, I didn't really need to do that.
There's a light up on the screen now.
Yeah, it's the
Projector.
projector, yeah. Alright, so to get to Google Scholar, you can just do a Google search for Google Scholar. If you click on it, let's pick a topic, any topic.
Well, so CBT.
Alright, so let's just do CBT then. I'll type the whole thing in because...
Yeah, it doesn't sometimes recognise it.
And if you're thinking of carrying on to uni, I know a lot of people that are in uni and they do use Google Scholar a lot when they're doing research.
Well, there you go. That's not bad. The first few hits look like books. So there's a good chance that they have general descriptions of CBT and will really help you out. You'll know if you can access something, like the whole version of it, if you see a link next to it here. That means we can get this whole book in PDF form just by clicking on it. These other ones probably we can only get introductions to because you probably have to subscribe.
Yeah, a lot of them are not free, unfortunately.
Right, but look, here's another one. Another one we get the whole thing for. And we know they're all valid sources because they're academic in nature. This one says systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials of cognitive behaviour therapy and behaviour therapy for chronic pain in adults excluding something. So this one's all about CBT and chronic pain. Your research project isn't about that, but hang on a minute. Let me open it up and I'll see whether or not it can give me good details about CBT that I can use.
How much of the book are you allowed to take? Is there like a...
If it's online, you can read the whole thing. If you're photocopying, I think it's one chapter or 10%. You can't copy any more than that.
Yeah.
This one comes from Science Direct. It'll take you to different databases.
It'd take me ages to read it.
But do you see my point, how they can be very specific? But that doesn't mean that they're not related. You just might have to be more specific with your search. CBT, depression.
Pain management.
How about depression? Yeah, okay, pain management. It's a bit hard to type it on the side like this.
Yeah, no.
Oh, well, we got that first hit we had before.
Yep, okay.
About controlled trials of CBT for chronic pain.
Yep, okay.
The use of coping strategies in chronic low back pain. Prevention of relapse in major depression by mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. So you just, you hunt really, but at least you know you've got valid sources.
I wouldn't have thought you would use CBT for chronic pain.
You do actually. It's in the. I read about it in the study guide. It's used for pain
I
management.
have chronic pain. I don't need CBT. I live with it and I deal with it.
Yeah, but some people
Some people
but
can't.
some people can't.
We tell ourselves to deal with it, but there's a lot of people out there that can't.
No, that's true. I
Oops.
often find that when you're out somewhere and someone's thinking about
Alright, let's get to referencing real quick because this is an important one. If you don't reference appropriately, your assessment won't be passed. I'll give you some tips for it to make sure you get it. Well, first off, there are referencing guides out there. I've done plenty of referencing over the years, plenty, but I don't remember it off by heart how to do it. I just don't. You forget. So I've always got a reference guide in front of me and I just follow the guide there. You can of course do referencing in things like Word automatically and things like that, but if you don't have a reference guide, just grab one, and when it's time to write your reference list and you can't remember what details you put down about the book, just copy what's right there.
So like when I was at TAFE, we had to do Harvard referencing.
Yeah.
So we do it through counselling.
It's APA.
APA.
Well, yeah, actually here, Evocca hasn't specifically said which style you need to use. APA is a good one. Just use, whether you use APA, whether you use Harvard, just make sure you're using a recognised referencing style.
The only reason I was saying use APA because I know there's a few people here wanting to continue their studies.
Yes, that's true.
If they do continue their studies, they're going to be using
That's
APA
true,
anyway,
that's true.
so they're better off starting using it now.
And I think if I remember correctly,
I don't know what it is.
It's the American Psychological Association.
just keep in mind these few tips though, because it'll get you through your diploma. Make sure you have at least one in-text reference per paragraph. Do you know what I mean by in-text reference?
No. And the book and in quotation marks?
No, actually on that though, if you do have direct quotes from your books, make sure they're in quotation marks. But in your research papers, they're so small, I really wouldn't have more than one of a few lines. It's better to reword than use direct quotes.
Right, yeah.
But you can have one. If you insert one, just make sure what you say above it and below it is relevant to it. Yeah, exactly. You don't just put in a quote and start talking about something else. Follow it up. By in-text reference, what I mean is, say you've written a paragraph.
Yeah.
Some of that information's come from an outside source, whether it's the learning guide or textbooks or a website. You need to reference to show that, even if it's in your own words. That's when you do an in-text reference, something along these lines at the end of the paragraph. Author's surname, the year, and the page number.
And the date.
The year, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you need for your in-text referencing. Author surname or organisation surname. You may have got it from a website where there's no person author, it's an organisation, so put that in. The year and the page number. It may not have a page number if it's a web page. It may just have the organisation name and the year. Add your reference list at the end of your research project. That's where you have all of the details of the whole source. But in-text referencing is just this. And basically it means if I've read your paragraph, you're saying that some of this information comes from Egan 2014, I'll go to your reference list at the end of your research project, find Egan, and then I can see the rest of the details, the name of the book, the publisher, all of that stuff. Yeah, all of that stuff, exactly. One thing I will put up is how to reference your learning guides, because you need to reference them. And this is the way we've decided to do it. In brackets, of course, AIPC, because that's who published the learner guides.
Australian Institute of Professional Counselling.
And what's the
There
we go, good on you.
CHCCSL.
Yes, the unit code, well done. CHCCSL.
I'm pretty good at remembering that one.
It depends what unit you're on.
Yeah.
Let's say you're on the first unit of the diploma, it would be 501A. But you might be on 507B or 506A. AIPC, unit code, learner guide,
Say 8.
1 or 8, yeah, whatever.
Yep.
And then page number.
Followed by your student number and what your assignment refers to.
Oh, you don't need all of that.
Oh,
the
okay.
moment. Not for the in-text referencing.
Oh, okay.
That's what you need, just so we can see which learner guide it came from
Mhm.
and what page.
Mhm.
Just putting in the URL of the website's not enough. You can't just put in brackets the URL of the website, www.
No.
No, usually if I've got something, I've been putting in the name of the person that
Right,
wrote.
exactly. You put in the author of the web page and then the year.
So they're not allowed to put the URL anymore?
The URL comes in the reference list down the end of your research project
Mhm.
when you put all the details about the source in, the
Oh, okay.
author, the web page name, the URL, when you accessed it,
Mm.
and all of that stuff's in your learner guide and your referencing guides
Yep.
out there.
Yeah, I think I'm doing pretty good with my references.
Yeah, you're doing well. You're doing well. So, in-text referencing is fairly easy in terms of you don't have to put a lot of details in, author, surname, year, and page number. If you write a paragraph, and inside that paragraph the information comes from multiple sources, let's say you write a paragraph and it comes from 3 different books, anytime you write something that comes from a different book, put an in-text reference in.
Mm.
Then keep writing your paragraph, and if that comes from a different source, in-text reference,
Mhm.
keep writing your paragraph, in-text reference. If the whole paragraph comes from one source, you could probably just do it at the end. Unless it's a large paragraph, you could throw one in at the beginning as well, just to prove that you haven't stolen any of this stuff.
Mhm.
But anytime you change sources in a paragraph, new in-text reference. But have at least one in-text reference per paragraph. You can't over-reference. You can't. You can under-reference. Okay? Oh, I assume everybody was done with this this example of the learner guide. We're nearly there. Oh, gone the wrong way. Okay. There are looks like we have finished. There's just a couple of things I wanted to point out. Maybe I can go to this. To remind you to do for your research projects.
Mhm.
Broken down the question, you've got your headings, under each heading you've got a topic sentence, you've used your referencing, in-text referencing throughout, at least one per paragraph, you've got your reference list at the end. I think I'm done. Proofread it. Yeah, proofread it. First off, run your spell check. You all know how to do the spell check on Word?
F7.
Yeah? Okay. Do your spell check, but just keep in mind that your spell check's not going to pick up everything, because if you say there have been some controversies about ACT, if you wrote the wrong there, it might not pick up on it. It might, but it might not.
You'll find that too, it'll come up, and if you know the words right, and they'll tell you it's wrong, they have to add it to dictionary, that's what I do.
Yeah, you can do that, especially like names and stuff.
Yeah.
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 But also too, it can sometimes the word can be spelt in the American way,
Yes.
Then you
and
put
it can't spell check won't pick it up.
Right.
But then if it's spelt wrong, it comes up in like a little box.
But
Can
if you, like behaviour,
Yeah.
or, you know, organise. Organise in Australia is an S, but in America, or whatever, it's a Z.
When I was working over there, I had to not do Australian spelling and do American spelling, because if the teachers or the clients I was working with, you know, I'm writing up reports for them or notes or case notes and things, I look very unprofessional because they don't seem to understand that there is a different spelling.
How did you
overseas.
find it? How did you find it with the spelling though?
Oh,
Are you working with it?
easy enough, because I just, over here when I'm writing, like you said, spell check doesn't pick up on it, so normally you do it yourself.
Yeah.
You turn the American spelling into Australian.
And
So
then
you-
add it to dictionary.
Yeah, add it to dictionary. If you I knew the mistakes, so when I was over there, I just made the mistakes, and I was alright.
And then you rectified them.
Alright, once you've done your spell check, I would print it and read it aloud, because you would have no idea how many mistakes you can pick up on, not only by having it on paper, but by speaking it out loud. Because sometimes in your mind when you're reading it, there are words there that you meant to type in that aren't actually there.
And then you go, oh, that doesn't sound right, I forgot to put this in.
Right,
And
right.
then you can write on it and put the word there, so you don't forget when you go back in and
Yes,
adjust it.
exactly.
Now I was going to make a suggestion that like, the guys that have to proofread it,
Yeah,
they should grab someone like me that can listen to it
yeah, yeah.
and say, oh yeah, you forgot to put this word in there. You know what I mean?
Because it reads it back to you. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
And the fact
But-
that Jenny doesn't, she listened, her listening skills are great.
Yeah.
So what you might not pick up, she might pick
Yeah.
up.
Now, the importance of spelling, punctuation, grammar, and all of that is, it's important because it can ruin your work. You can say some really intelligent and appropriate things, but spelling, punctuation, and grammar can wreck the meaning, or it can make it unclear, and then you've lost it. You know, all that hard work you've done. So really take the time to proofread your work.
That's a lesson I learned a long time ago.
Yeah.
As in repeating a conversation, and they repeated it, and I said, no, that's not how it's said. I said such and such, and they said they mean it the same as it doesn't, and it totally,
Yeah.
Yeah, it can totally like bamboozle you and get you confused.
that's
So when
very
you tell,
careful.
so when you tell somebody something, by the time it gets back to you, it's about 50 miles
Chinese,
long.
yes,
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So this is what we covered today. All of these things. Does anybody have any questions or anything that confused them that you want me to briefly describe again? All right. Some of your research projects will be harder than others. Some will actually break down the question for you. Some won't. But hopefully now you've got some skills that will help you.
And we'd be
Before this,
good
I
if you
didn't have a
print
lot of
that out
skills.
for us and
Yeah.
issue that
As
up.
soon as I leave here, I'll print out copies
Okay.
and I'll put them on that student desk thing.
Yeah, that'd
All
be
right.
great.
Cool. All right. Good on you. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks for your participation.
All right.